If you knew what your true yes was and what your true no was in all areas of your life, would you be able to choose faster and easier? What futures would those choices create? Everyone is capable of connecting to their bodies in a way to have more exuberant and joyful living now and in the future. Now, here is your host of Choosing a Different Future with Siris.
Hi everyone, I am Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo, or just Siris, and you're listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris. Today's topic is, let me say it again. When your relationships influence you away from exuberant living. It's a mouthful of a topic. And it's gonna be a lot that we're gonna jump in, but I wanted to say happy Pride Month and happy Juneteenth today. This month we've done a lot of different themes for Pride in different ways. We had the replay of coming out. One of our two coming out episodes, and then we had last week where it was about using our abilities with sexual healing for clarity specifically. So thanks for checking in those episodes and for your feedback. I'm going to read those in a second. But if you're new to our show and you're new to me, this is a show that's all about how we can choose something different beyond what's been projected and expected of us, beyond what our family has chosen or what they want us to choose, our friends, our coworkers, our kids, you name it, so that we can actually choose something that's going to have exuberant living, have that joyfulness, have the play, have our true desires within it in all different areas of our life. And in case you're interested in meeting up online or in person, we have some upcoming events. We have in a week from tomorrow, oh my goodness, it's around the corner. We've been waiting so long. We have our next awakening class where we get to give and receive and be certified in the living and dying body process, where it's about unlocking our awareness of living, unlocking our awareness of other people's thoughts, feelings, emotions, the heaviness of the world, any of that out of our bodies so that we can have exuberant living. And it's a 1-day class. We're going to do it from 9 to 4. We have breaks, we have manuals, we have infographics. So join us, and the information for that is on all of our social media, on our website, and at empoweringlightlanguage.com/living and dying. And then we have our expansive energies group. We're going to be meeting tonight, one of our 2 meetings a month where we meet for 45 minutes for group therapeutic energy work sessions. And this month's theme is beginnings and finding yourself in transitions. And I love that we're having transitions continually in our lives. And what if we can have more and more of ourselves through all of that and get some yummy nurturing? So if you'd like to join us, go ahead and check out empoweringlightlanguage.com/expansive energies. And happy Father's Day weekend to all of the fathers out there, stepdads, the mentors, teachers, facilitators, thought leaders that are impacting the lives of future generations and impacting other people's perspective on things. I hope you have an amazing Father's Day. I hope that you are honored and respected and you get the contribution that you provide to those that are around you. And we have our monthly Being a Different Possibility call. This month's call is going to be on June 26th, and it's on having your fantastical voice with family, making sure that you and your voice is valued, it's heard, and how can you have that while also respecting the voices of your other family members, be it those that are living, those that have passed. We're going to get into all of that. Very, very excited to look forward to that. And if you want the replays of any of our previous monthly calls, you can check that out. All those topics, select which ones you'd like. We'll send it right to your email list and right to your email inbox. I apologize. And that's at empoweringlightlanguage.com/events. You can go and click on the banner for our monthly Being a Different Possibility calls and request any of those replays and send us questions and comments for any of our future topics and calls. All right. Some announcements and questions. and comments. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know we did a couple of replays for a couple weeks. I'm in the middle of moving. I'm in the middle of searching for a new house. You can see that there's a different background behind me. Basically, I'm retreating this summer and enjoying some yum time with my mom and her house in Indian Trail. And that's where we're going to be having our next awakening class as well. She has this beautiful little oasis here that she's been opening up for us. And we're going to do our next Limitless Azúcar conversation from her home here together. So you're going to see us on screen, on the same screen together, talking about raising children with unique needs. And so thank you for your patience with all of that. I hope you enjoyed the replays. And I know that some of you have sent me some emails through my website. We have gotten your messages and I've replied. Check your emails, check your emails, check your emails, check your spam folders. Add us to your contacts so that it doesn't go to your junk mail folder or your spam folder. But if you have been sending me messages through my website, I've absolutely replied. We're good about replying within 24 hours of receiving any message. So check that out. I've received many messages asking for me to tell more stories, particularly about my own personal experiences. And I hear you. And since then, I'm going to be making some more conscious effort in including more stories. I've already did that in our last episode's discussion around sexual healing for clarity. Hope you enjoyed that. And there was also some requests of just examples and illustrative stories in general, not necessarily about my own encounters. And so thank you for letting me know that you enjoy those stories and examples and that I've shared so far, and for your feedback. The tricky thing about mentioning some stories is I want to also be respectful of the people that are in them and having their confidential information. There's people's feelings and lives and careers at stake. But yes, I will use them and not include their names, for instance, or anything that's identifying information, while still being able to use that to illustrate some of these concepts that I'm sharing with you, some of the ways that these tools can be beneficial. And so you'll see a mix of all different kinds of stories moving forward. And then we had some comments sent in about last week's episode, how to use sexual healing for clarity. Somebody sent in, Siris, I never thought of myself as a sexual healer. I'm reading this here. And yet I saw the title of your show, How to Use Sexual Healing for Clarity, and was pulled to check it out. I'm so glad I did. I am a sexual healer and I had no idea. LOL. I have been using my ability to be aware of energy and shift things around to create more in my interior design business. Oh, cool. You have an interior design business. Thank you for providing me with a way to recognize one of my superpowers. Woo woo! Yeah. All right. Go you. And I wonder how many more superpowers you could discover about yourself. Another comment sent in, I often felt horrible after having sex with my ex, even though the sex was quote unquote good. At the time, I worried that it was bringing up some forgotten trauma that I experienced and it hadn't addressed. It was that bad. After hearing your episode, I'm wondering if instead I was picking up on her past experiences of abuse. I thought that there was something wrong with me. I'd like to learn how to not take on someone's stuff like that so I can enjoy sex more. Can you help with this? Yes, we can schedule a consultation with me. You can go to my website. You can email me at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. I'll send you the information link, the scheduling link for how to schedule a consultation. But it's interesting. It's not about protection. And that's kind of what I'm getting and perceiving from your question. It's about expansion and presence with your body and developing that with your body instead of feeling like you need to put up walls, because that's actually going to make it more difficult for you to enjoy your partner and enjoy what you create together. So thank you for that question. Thank you for the comments, everyone. If you have any other future comments, feel free to email at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. And given that last comment I read, I think I'm going to create a future episode on how not to take on other people's shit. What do you think? If you like that idea, comment below this, send me a message, be like, I would love that. I'm about it. And when I post it on our page and the inspiredchoicesnetwork.com page, make sure that you pre-register. Make sure that you add yourself to our email list so that you are notified of our future episodes, including that one that I'm going to make just for you. All right. So today's topic. Oh, in our chat room, we got somebody that loves that idea. Awesome. Make sure to join us in our chat room as well on the Inspired Choices app or on inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Today's topic: when your relationships influence you away from exuberant living. So, who or what influences us? Relationships can lead us toward knowing and respecting ourselves better, or can lead us astray. And if you've asked yourself, what's wrong with me? How did I get here? I've definitely asked myself that question. Who am I right now? While in a relationship with someone, or wondered if you were creating a codependent dynamic, and we've talked about codependency a lot, this episode is for you. Furthermore, when we uncover, acknowledge, and embrace the elements of living, or EoLs, and we've talked about some of these before, including our influencer selves, we can have clarity on the options available to us and more easily bring about and experience exuberant living. So when people express to me, I had no choice, I don't have many options, it is what it is, and nothing is going to change. It lets me know that their awareness and understanding of their influencer, this category of the elements of living, the influencer capacities, is either asleep, hidden, or buried, or totally blocked, depending on to the degree in which they're saying this and they have this in their world as the functioning belief. And so with the framework of knowing about the influencers within us and around us, we can move from feeling limited to limitless. We can stop seeking out validation from other people to build confidence in ourselves and our inner knowing, which then allows us to be a magnet for people to find us. Those people who will nurture us, inspire us, have our backs, and expand our worlds. So, some possible episodes that you might want to check out if you haven't already done so, that's going to complement our discussion today, is our knowing what doors to open and which to close. That was back in July of 2022. And then our episode on creating a greater enthusiasm for living with your inner child. That was back in December of 2022. Okay, so you might want to bookmark those episodes, add it to your episodes, have a listen on this. And we're going to dive in. So let's start off by, well, what is exuberant living? I don't want to assume that we're all on the same page about that. So for me today, because if you ask me another day, I might say something different. To me today, exuberant living is having this presence with your body, this sense of I got this, I'm on the right track, and oh my gosh, how lucky am I to be living this life? That's exuberant living. It's not just like, it's okay, I guess this'll do, I guess this relationship is good for now, this job is paying the bills and that's enough. Like that, those basic needs. We're not talking about basic living, we're talking about exuberant living, where it actually lights you up and you look forward to what you have to do that day, who you get to meet, where you're living, the adventures you're going to have, the experiences that are awaiting you. That's exuberant living. Okay, so are your relationships actually influencing you toward that, for you to have more of that, or away from that? That's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's start with our first break of the show. When we come back, we're going to get to talk more about when your relationships influence you away from exuberant living. You are listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris on the Inspired Choices Network. We will be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is when your relationships influence you away from exuberant living. Our show is brought to you by Activated Liquid Collagen from LifeVantage. Liquid collagen is a different, better collagen supplement. Get real results that you can see and feel. Check out the Activated Liquid Collagen and LifeVantage's other natural plant-based products to address anti-aging, gut health, energy, and more by going to www.sirisrivas.lifevantage.com. Our episode is also brought to you by the Elements of Living, the ingredients to creating empowered, authentic, joyful living with your body. By familiarizing yourself with the Elements of Living, or EoLs, you can identify where you already have the ingredients to create a phenomenal life that is worth living to you. For our listeners, you can receive the introductory quick book on the Elements of Living for free, waiving the current cost of the book by emailing us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com with the subject line Elements. And for more information on the Elements of Living, you can go to empoweringlightlanguage.com/elements of living. So before we went on break, we started to talk about what exuberant living is. And here's the thing. It's also important for this discussion today to talk about, well, what is an influencer? So the influencers are one of the 9 categories of the elements of living, these archetypes of living and dying, because it's either about you adding the things that create more, that's the living, or you're letting go of the things to create more, that's the dying. And it's different, I know, than what many of us have been told. And the influencer is one of those categories that is about how you and others, including other energies, have your back. They inspire you. They ask you questions to help you consider other avenues. They provide comfort and affection when you feel lost or afraid. And they often work with the discoverers, another category of the elements of living, to illuminate new paths and accompany you on your journey, this journey of living. All right. So some of the characteristics of an influencer. Well, first and foremost, I'd like you to recognize that all of us are influencers. It's just a matter of, are we influencing ourselves in a way that's going to create more of what we'd like or less of what we'd like? This isn't a social media thing, all right? This is about that your existence matters. Your existence matters. Without you here, there's one less person out there asking questions. There's one less person searching for different possibilities. And there's one less person to create the futures from a place of clear and caring perception. Piercing perception. When we are developing our abilities to perceive and receive, to create and choose something different, it creates a different future. And so for each of us, be it our own little world, our internal world, or our little microcosm in whatever corner of the planet that we're in, we are influencing the world. And so I'd love us to start there and recognize that and seeing, okay, us as the greatest influencers of our lives, are we influencing ourselves toward exuberant living or not? And then, yes, we are going to talk about if your relationships with other people, your coworkers, your partners, your kids, your businesses, how is that influencing you? Is it toward living exuberantly? Woo! I get to do this. Yeah. How lucky am I? Or, oh, I guess I get to do this. I've experienced all of that and more, sometimes all in a day. All in one day, you're experiencing all of those emotions. I get it. So how you choose, what you choose, your choices, and how you communicate, what you choose creates an impact on your body and on the people around you. The world is a different place with you in it. The world is different with you in it. You matter. I'm going to say this multiple times because, again, we are our greatest influencers. We truly are this category. And then I'm going to also mention the specific examples of other elements of living that fall within this category. So you have a framework to see, okay, are my relationships moving me toward what I'd like or away from it? Okay. Am I becoming more distracted, or am I actually becoming more congruent with my true desires, my wishes, my hopes, my dreams? Okay. So signs that you're an influencer, in case you're in doubt still and you don't believe me when I say you matter. If you're someone who people go to for an emergency, you're an influencer. If you're someone who people go to when they want to feel better, you're an influencer. If you're someone who people go to when they want to get a different perspective, when they want to learn, you're an influencer. If you're someone who people go to when they would like to feel more connected to other people, to ideas, to resources, to options, if they'd like to have a new possibility show up, you're an influencer. So what would it be like for you if you actually embraced your own unique way of influencing people? I was running a writing group for, gosh, I think about a year. I think it was about a year. It was called, was it Writing Your Way? I don't remember the name of the group now. God, I feel like multiple lifetimes ago. But one of the monthly themes, because we'd pick a different monthly theme to support us as we were publishing books, becoming more prolific, really finding our voice through the written expression, one of our themes was embracing your influence. Because as you're writing for you. For some of the people in the group, it was just for them. Some of the people, it was for them and other people, like through blogs, professional manuals and certification things. Some people were writing fictional books, nonfiction books, memoirs, all these different things. You're influencing yourself with what you're writing, and you're influencing whoever may pick up that text in the future. It's very, very powerful. Okay. So what are the signs that your relationships are influencing you away from exuberant living? Are we ready? Are we ready to talk about it? If you're listening to this, there's something about this topic that's here for you, that you saw the title and you're like, all right. And that's already a sign. If there's some inkling in you that's like, is that a thing? Is that a possibly relevant consideration in my world? All right. Well, one of the things that lets you know, beep, 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 alarm bells, that your relationships are influencing you away from exuberant living is obligation. If there are a lot of have-tos in your relationship, not even a lot, if they're like, everybody has that sweet spot for them. I personally prefer very, very little percentage of my relationships to have obligation to it, to have have-tos. And obligation and commitment are two very different things. So let's not get it twisted. All right. Obligation is where you feel like you have very little options or very little choice in the matter. You can't say no. We did that episode on 1,000 ways to say no, to break free from codependence. Check out that episode if you haven't already done so. And if you're not allowed ever to say no, if you're not allowed ever to change your mind, that is not okay. That is in a signal that your relationship to that job, to that person, is moving you away from exuberant living. So you're getting more and more contracted living. It may even not even be basic. It may be underground where you're just like miserable. It's time to create a plan to change either that relationship, to change that situation, to change that job path, the career path that you're on. Okay. And one of the elements of living that often is in play when we have a lot of obligation, when we're choosing relationships that have obligation in them, is if we've experienced some kind of trauma or abuse, or we felt like we needed to do people pleasing to keep things in equilibrium, maintain some type of harmony, even though it wasn't probably harmony, but we called it harmony or peace, keep the peace, walking on eggshells during our childhood. For me, it was an abuse. It wasn't abuse in my family. It was the chaos. I didn't want to add more burden to everything that my parents had to deal with while we were going from home to school to hospitals over and over and over again every single day. We had multiple doctor's appointments for my siblings. We had surgery follow-ups. We had therapy appointments. And so I did a lot of people pleasing to not add any more to that chaos and to not add any more stress to what I could clearly perceive as stress in the worlds of my parents and into everybody that I was around at those hospitals. You're seeing people, even though I was quietly reading my book or drawing in the waiting room while they were just seeing all these different professionals, I could perceive the stress, the worry, the sadness, the grief of the people in those spaces. And I was trying to have everyone be happy. And so our inner child is often at play here. We've talked about the inner child before. We're going to do a whole episode next week on the inner child in a different way. So check that one out and mark your calendar for that one. But if there is this sense of obligation, there is probably that there as well. And your inner child's at play. So the inner child invites us to ask a lot of different questions, like all the influencers do. But the one I'd like for us to play with today is, what is my inner child asking for? If there is this sense of obligation in your world or guilt, what is my inner child asking for? And whatever picture, whatever smell, whatever feeling, energy that comes up, what if you leaned into that and be like, okay, I'm going to have that. I'm going to choose that. That is information that if you actually chose it, you would be able to heal and commune with your inner child more. You get to put that balm. For us as Latinos, it's a lot of times it's Vicks Vapor Rub. That's our like cure-all for things. For all my fellow Latinos out there, you know what I'm talking about. But whatever that balm, that salve is for you, what if that you could do that with each choice that actually respects and listens to your inner child? For many of us, that inner child was not heard, was not really acknowledged. We didn't get to have a voice. We didn't get to have a say in things. And so what if we could be the adults that our inner child was needing back then, now? We can be that now through our choices, through what we decide, the actions that we take. Okay. So another sign, let's see, do we have time before our break? Oh, I'm going to try to squeeze it in and we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Okay. If there's a lot of blame going around, either people that you're interacting with or you yourself, you're always blaming you, you're always blaming somebody else, or the people that you interacted with are blaming you and other people, and there's a lot of like pointing fingers, that is a signal. It is a sign. Ooh, it's so dangerous, and it's so common that is influencing you away from exuberant living. Blame is a distraction. Blame is so toxic. It is actually taking you away from looking at, well, what can we do instead? What can we together, co-creating, partnership, what as a team, what can we do together to have something else show up, versus like, because of you, blah, 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 blah. It's your fault. Okay. Oh, it's my fault. And oh my gosh, and I'm horrible and I suck and I'm always mess up on this, and you're doing that, and that the blame and the guilt are really interwoven there, and they're really toxic. It's a great way to destroy possibility. And I suspect if you're listening to this, that you're trying to create possibilities, to open the door to new ones, not to destroy them. Okay. So blame. We're going to talk a little bit more about blame after this next break, y'all. I know I'm trying to squeeze it in. We got so much to discuss. So you are listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss when your relationships influence you away from exuberant living. We will be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic is when your relationships influence you away from exuberant living. Our show is brought to you by Activated Liquid Collagen from LifeVantage. Liquid collagen is a different, better collagen supplement. Get real results that you can see and feel. Check out the Activated Liquid Collagen and LifeVantage's other natural plant-based products to address anti-aging, gut health, energy, and more by going to www.sirisrivas.lifevantage.com. Our episode is also brought to you by the Elements of Living, the ingredients to creating empowered, authentic, and joyful living with your body. By familiarizing yourself with the Elements of Living, or EoLs, you can identify where you already have the ingredients to create a phenomenal life that's worth living to you. And for our listeners, you can receive the introductory quick book on the Elements of Living for free, waiving the current cost of the book by emailing us at empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com with the subject line Elements. And for more information on the Elements of Living, visit empoweringlightlanguage.com/elements of living. So before we went on break, we were talking about blame, and as one of the signals, the signs of knowing that our relationship is moving us, influencing us away from exuberant living. And here's the thing with blame. Blame oftentimes too keeps getting reinforced over and over again with the story. The story is another example of one of the elements of living. It is very, very powerful. Our stories can either influence us to see us more clearly, to see what's actually true about us, or to embed and implant more and more lies in our bodies, in our realities, in our mindsets. And so when the story, the invitation of the element of living that is the story, the question to ask yourself is, what story am I using to influence myself away from exuberant living? A lot of people will ask, oh, what's my story? But actually looking at very clearly, looking at this unflinchingly and being willing to do this is super, super powerful and empowering to see, okay, is there anywhere that I'm influencing myself away from exuberant living through how I'm narrating my life, through the things I'm going on repeat about, stories from the past. Oh, everybody that I date is going to hurt me. Or, I'm actually thinking about one of my clients right now. Okay, let me not say her name. Where she was telling herself over and over again that she was worthwhile, that it was actually inevitable that she was going to get hurt, or it was inevitable that there was going to be some type of abuse in play in her relationship. It could be mental, emotional, physical, sexual, you name it. And unfortunately, because she had this story, she was implanting herself. It was like injecting herself with that toxin over and over and over again. That's what these stories do. You can either be injecting yourself with toxins, with this judgment, with the blame, with the guilt, with this obligation. These are the ones we've talked about so far. Or you can inject yourself with the antidote to those toxins. What's true for you? These questions that invite us to have a greater awareness and understanding of our gifts and what we're actually capable of. Okay, so how are you using your story, the story? Is it to influence you away from exuberant living or toward exuberant living? I'm also thinking about, gosh, okay, let me see. Can I mention this? Yeah, okay, I'm going to see. So there is a couple I was working with where they had very different stories about their family. How they perceived their family was almost polar opposite. There's very little overlap, which made it very challenging for them to then co-parent effectively and for them to really build an intimacy with each other, because they basically felt alone. Like the stories that they were using and how they were framing and looking at the family dynamic and their relationship put them on like different islands, like two faraway islands, and they felt so alone even though they were living in the same household. And that's what some of the stories that influence us away from exuberant living do. They actually increase a sense of isolation instead of us feeling more connected. And connection is one of the key ingredients to healing, to resilience, to building confidence, is us feeling connected with ourselves, with our bodies, and with the people around us. And for the people around us to have a very predictable, stable, and nurturing presence in our lives. Okay. And it was very hard for this couple to nurture each other because their relationships and their story about who they were together, what was showing up so far in their families, had a lot of blame in them. This is your fault. This is what always happens with you. As soon as you're saying, oh, this always, that word in your story, that is actually taking you away from exuberant living. There's the always this entrenches something. It makes it solid and dense in your world versus malleable, adaptable, and open to a different possibility. Same thing goes with the word never. Oh, you never do this. You say you're going to do it, but you never do. Blah, 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 blah. That is another way to make things solid, those two words. And if those are in your story, in your personal narrative, I invite you to remove them so that you can have more of your influencer capacities in a way that's actually activated and alert instead of hidden, buried, asleep, blocked, because you are entrenching lies and the heavy in your world, in this situation that you're talking about. Okay. So, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay. So thank you to the inner children. Thank you to the stories, especially those that actually influence us toward exuberant living and having what we'd like. Another sign that your relationships are influencing you away from exuberant living is fear, trauma, and abuse. We've talked quite a bit about being survivors of abuse in different ways, all different types of things, and all different types of trauma. We're going to talk about that in future episodes as well. But one of the signs for you, if let's say it's difficult for you to receive compliments, affection, help, support, contribution from other people, where did that come from? It's usually a relationship that we've experienced that told us it's not okay, that's not safe, or we'll get punished if we receive this, if we get attention. I had a client of mine that recognized that she was purposely, sorry, I have something in my eye right now, that she was initially unconsciously, and then as we had this discussion, she got to be more conscious of that she was using food and eating to gain weight, to then to hide her body, because in the past, when she was slender and fit and very active, having a body that was healthier for her, not all thinner bodies are healthier. Let me make sure that that's clear. I also know more voluptuous and curvier bodies and bigger bodies that are very healthy. And I know that that's not a common perspective, but I definitely know that they exist. So there's no body shaming here. But for her, this particular client, she recognized that she was gaining weight on purpose from an unconscious limiting belief that if I get attention, I will be hurt. Because she was abused. She was sexually abused. There was a lot of violations, not just with her family, unfortunately, but also with her relationships as in adulthood that influenced that choice. And so we got to look at that and we got to see, is that actually true? Or is that the story that she was telling herself? And unfortunately, it took quite a bit of time for her to detox that point of view. People go at their own pace, but with each step, every 1% and 1% and 1%, we open the door to a different possibility. It's not about forcing it, but each little step, she got to feel more relief. She got to feel more safe and secure in herself, in the partnership that she could create with her body. Because up until then, she was projecting this agenda of hiding and of protection on her body instead of, body, I know you have my back. I know that we're in this together. I'm so sorry that that happened to us. And so what can we do now together to create a different possibility? You see how it's a very different space to function from with your body when you ask those questions versus concluding using those other stories full of these different lies that served a purpose when they were instituted, when they were initially created, but are they actually creating what you want now? If you'd like those nurturing relationships, if you'd like to feel less alone, look at the stories that you're using to create that isolation and that separation, and then see if you can start tweaking some of those key words, like removing the always and the never and those absolute universal words out of your vocabulary. Okay, let me pause. Let me see if there's any comments in our chat room. Okay, cool. All right, excellent. So before our next break, I want to mention the element of living of the night dwellers. So the night dwellers or the dream weavers, depending on how you want to look at it, are an element of living under the category of influencers that can be really, really helpful, especially for those of you, and I've gotten some of your messages about this, and you definitely have chimed in some of my classes, that you perceive a lot and receive messages through your dreams. And so it's an invitation for those of you that already do it, and for those of you that maybe want to play and explore this as a possibility, to ask yourself, so how am I receiving messages in my dreams? And what memories am I recalling potentially or reliving in my dreams? For some people, they are assuming that dreams are just dreams, that there's nothing in there. And there can be a lot of information that you can mine in your dreams. It's often not quite so direct, but I've had some people that they have had theta healing sessions with me. They've had shamanic journey sessions with me. They've had living and dying body process sessions with me. And they've actually found that the energy of those sessions would show up then in their dreams as they were actually recalling a memory. They could see their bodies. They could look down at their hands and be like, oh, I have a little boy's hands now, while they're maybe a woman now and with a female body in this life. Or, oh, I have a wizened face. I could see myself in this mirror or in this lake as a reflection, and I have these wrinkles, and I have gray hair. What's that? What was going on in that life? And it's this wonderful possibility and opportunity for us to then see what lessons we're still trying to teach ourselves now that we didn't get to learn in past lives, or some certain patterns that we're repeating unconsciously that we don't need to repeat, unless it's going to create more for us to then learn again to create more money, or learn again to find somebody that is actually going to respect us and have our back and allow us to expand our worlds. So there's a lot possible here. Okay. So hello to the night dwellers and the dream weavers. All right. So it's time for our next break, everyone. My goodness, it's flying by. You are listening to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, with myself, Siris, on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we will continue to discuss when your relationships influence you away from exuberant living. We will be right back.
Most people haven't been taught how to listen and partner with their bodies in order to create lives that include clarity, pleasure, ease, and connection. Tuning in to Choosing a Different Future with Siris, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and resources on how to use your awareness of bodies and energy to your advantage. Siris is a family and child coach and therapeutic energy worker who will guide you to get clear and acknowledge what's brilliant, magical, and a gift about you. This is the Choosing a Different Future show with Siris. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Connect with Siris through her website, empoweringlightlanguage.com, or send an email to empoweringlightlanguage@gmail.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Siris Raquel Rivas-Verdejo on Choosing a Different Future with Siris. And today our show topic has been when your relationships influence you away from exuberant living. And before we went on break, we were talking about some of the specific categories, the specific elements of living under the category of the influencers. And the influencers come from the living and dying body process, and from my experiences with providing those private sessions and facilitating the classes on the living and dying body process. That class is the awakening class. Our next one is going to be a week from tomorrow on June 24th, live in person in Indian Trail, North Carolina, in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, or live streaming wherever you are and anywhere in the world. And one of the things that I really want to mention before we part ways today, around when you know that relationships are moving you away from exuberant living, is, do you get to have your fantastical voice in your relationship? Like, are you actually able to have your voice heard and valued and received? Is that one of the characteristics of your relationship? And this is for your job. This is for your romantic relationships, when you are parenting with your kids. And then, do your kids, do they get to have their fantastical voice as well? Okay, it's not about one person having their voice and valued and have it be heard and received or not. It's about every person in their own unique way having that. And so is that a part of, is that one of the the characteristics of your current relationships or not. If you're walking on eggshells, it's not a great sign. If you're having to really be careful about what you're saying all the time, that is a red flag. That is a sign to you that you need to start looking and asking more questions about your relationship. And then the other thing is, if there's this aspect of neediness or seeking out validation and approval, it's one time if you're like, oh, let me check in and see what this person thinks about it, versus you will not choose, you will not decide or take action on something until somebody gives you permission or approval, until you get the signal from whoever you're interacting with that it is okay, or that your opinion, your idea is okay. It's a great way to slow yourself down. It's a great way to get in your own way and to not really have a life that includes the joy of you, of what you know is possible. And sometimes it's a matter of us being the leaders in our relationships to take the first step, to be that pioneer. Y'all have been listening to the Limitless Azúcar series with my mom, Zulma Verdejo Carrion. And that's one of the things that I love about her, and I love about a lot of the people in my family, is they are pioneers. They have been leaders in our family, that then by them opening the door, other people were able to walk through it with more ease, with more certainty. And so that can be a possibility for you when you're not waiting for someone else to approve of your decisions before you take action. Okay. Gosh, so much more we can talk about today. Let me mention that I will make an episode for y'all on how you know when your relationships are actually facilitating exuberant living. So we're started with where they're taking you away, because that's one of those things that most people aren't even willing to look at. And we're going to look more at when they are. What are those? We can celebrate those aspects of your relationships that are actually providing exuberant living. So be on the lookout for that future episode as well. I'm going to create that for y'all. You guys can pre-register, make sure you're notified, and get the reminder emails so that you don't miss it, and that you can have the replays sent directly to your email as well, in case you can't join us live. And next week, we're going to be talking about, about awakening your inner child's curiosity and wonder with the discoverers. The discoverer is another category of the elements of living. We're really playing around with these a lot, especially in preparation for our next awakening class on June 24th. And so what is your inner child trying to tell you? For many of us, we are experiencing the ups and downs and all arounds that we can find ourselves desiring more joy and wonder. The inner child is an influencer, and the discoverers is a category of the elements of living that partner beautifully with your body and your intrinsic compass to guide you when you feel lost, or you're looking to awaken your sense of wonder and curiosity once again. There are many ways the discoverers can assist you in knowing yourself and being clearer on what options are available to you. So what if you collaborated with all of the energies and elements at your disposal to have an exuberant, joyful living? Instead of judging or limiting yourself, let's go deeper into what will work for us. So I will share some key information about the ways in which the elements of living and the discoverers can play together to stimulate more joy, peace, and clarity for exuberant living your way, including our inner children. So we're going to play with the inner children. We're going to play with the discoverers. It's going to be awesome sauce. Check it out. Make sure to join us, and make sure to check your emails, y'all. Check your emails. You've been emailing me. I'm getting back to you. So if you would like to set up an appointment and set up a consultation with me, feel free to do that. All the links are on my website. All the links are on these episode pages as well. I would love to play with you, and I am accepting new clients right now. I cap it at a certain number. I don't go take on too many, so I can really have that personalized approach when I'm creating the plans for each of my clients. And if you would like to play around with some of these energies as well and experience the living and dying body process directly, feel free to schedule a virtual or in-person session. Until next week, bye.
Thank you for listening to the Choosing a Different Future show. Siris returns Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Mountain, and 7 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, keep choosing what will work for you and your body, your own unique way honoring what will work for you.